As you guys know, I've got an E46 M3. It's a competition. I love everything about it except for one thing, and that's the sloppy manual gearbox, the SMG. We're gonna get rid of that thing, do a full manual conversion. I was actually at Impact a few weeks ago. I ran into Jason, and we were talking about it. He was actually coming down here to vacation. He volunteered to come down to help me out, so thanks for coming. Volunteered. So
who volunteers to work?
And of course I took it up, because I'm gonna take all the help I can get, right?
Well, you're finally doing it, so I had to volunteer, right?
Right.
We gotta get this right.
And Jason has done thousands of these swaps before. He's done he's done a bunch of these swaps before, and he's gonna help me out, and we're gonna get this thing knocked out. We're gonna do it the right way. I'm gonna show you guys how to do it. The kit we're using is gonna be awesome. Let's just get started. Actually, we have a BMW M3 over here. It's a customer's true manual M3, so I thought what we'd do is we'll just take the manual gearbox out of that one. We'll put it in this one. We'll put this SMG. We'll put it back in the customer's car. They'll never know.
Yeah, so I'll take that one out. You take this one out.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Let's get right to it.
Or should we just use the kit that's on the table right here?
I mean, this is probably one of the most complete kits I've seen, so let's check it out.
All right, cool. All right, I want to thank AMS for sending us this kit. They are the most complete kit that I think I've ever used before, and they actually send us the complete bell housing. What do you think about that bell housing?
That's actually, I mean, it's perfect. It's already put together. You don't have to really do anything. And even like that harness, like they sent you the harness, you don't have to tap really anything. Everything just plugs right in.
Yeah, plug and play. They make it super simple, really easy. They have full support. So like, I know we're gonna do the programming and coding, but if somebody was doing this at home, they could actually literally just put it together. They call them up, and then he can remote in and do the coding for them, which is awesome.
Yeah, that makes it so much easier. Because a lot of people could do the mechanical stuff, but people start getting jumbled up when it comes to coding.
And I was worried I didn't want the original shifter, and he was like, no. He's like, we include the E60 short shifter. It gives me the knob, the Alcantara kit, like everything. This is awesome. Now, they don't include the flywheel or the clutch, so I got to get that separately, and they don't include the panel bonding, which is one of the methods that is used to install the bracket. We're going to do it the way we like to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think everything right here would make it very DIY friendly, because that bracket, mainly, that's why we got that panel bond. You don't have to weld anything. Everything's just, you could do with hand tools mostly.
Yeah, because I don't want to catch my car on fire. The welder. So.
Definitely.
Cool. All right, well, let's get it installed.
Let's put it in.
All right, so we need to access the SMG pump and all that stuff, so we need to get all this out of the way, which is the engine air filter, the cabin filter, intake manifold. So that's what we're doing first. All right, before I pull this out, just so you guys can see this for reference, I've got all 4 lines here. We disconnected it with an 11mm crow's foot. This here is just a pin, just goes straight through a grommet. We're gonna lift this straight out, and then we're gonna unplug the main barrel connector. There's a 10mm bolt here, and there's one on the bottom side that I just kind of reached through from the driver's side to get. We got to disconnect all the lines from the SMG pump. It's going to make a mess, so we're going to go ahead and remove all these panels so we can catch the fluid in a container instead of getting these all messy. All right, we're going to get this bracket out of the way, and then after that we'll loosen up the lines. We've got a little catch can at the bottom to catch all the fluid.
What are the chances you positioned it right?
Position which?
What? The catch
can? I'm usually pretty good.
Let's see.
It just depends, because sometimes, you know, fluid will hit something and it'll roll down, and you got the catch can perfect underneath, but then it ends up rolling down the chassis and then like dripping out behind it. There she is, boys. Okay. All right, we're gonna take the exhaust out. We're gonna start by taking it off here. Then we're gonna come back here. We're gonna take this brace off. We're gonna take this body brace off. And then the last thing we'll have to do is take the mounts off for the rear muffler, and the whole exhaust will come out in one shot. All right, if you guys want to see the difference between an SMG transmission versus a manual transmission, the SMG is a manual transmission, except they have all of these hydraulic lines. They have the slave cylinder that is controlled through, you know, there's a sensor that monitors it, and there's hydraulic pressure that will control it automatically. And then you follow these lines up here, and this is the shifter assembly. So literally, it is taking the input from the shifter assembly, the engine RPMs, the computer, everything, and it is doing all the manual shifting for you. So it physically does shift the car, except you're not doing it inside the car. And in conjunction with that, it's also controlling the slave cylinder. So it's basically doing all the manual features that a human would do automatically. This E46 M3, it's a true manual transmission, so all those hydraulic lines that you saw in the other one are missing. The only one you have is this one here for the slave cylinder, which is obviously controlled through the clutch pedal inside the car. And none of that shifter assembly and all that that's up here, that's all missing. What's actually up there is a true manual lever that shifts the car, shifts the transmission with the shifter in the car, like a true manual. It's very simple. This is what we're going to go to. The insulator's in the way. We're going to put the bracket here, so we're going to prepare for that. We end up taking these fasteners out of the insulator. We're just going to kind of let it hang. But before I do that, I'm going to cut the little clips off of here for this circle. And this is where we're going to be drilling later. But while we're under here, let's just go ahead and notch this little guy out. When we put the shifter bracket in, we're going to be drilling some holes. So we're going to go ahead and take everything out just so there's nothing in the way. So the first thing comes off is the shifter knob. I will tell you, I've already taken it loose. Otherwise, sometimes it's a real pain, but I made it look really easy. 2 Phillips screws. And then the shifter assembly is going to come out, and there's 4 10 millimeter nuts holding on. I believe I got to take this out of the way too, just to give me a little bit more room. I just had to grab my trim tool. This just pops out here. All right, and then we got 2 more screws up here. Okay, now we have access to the shifter assembly. We're going to go ahead and remove it. There it is. That's our shifter. We're doing this in no time. With the shifter assembly out of the way, you can see this circle here. So actually, Jason was smart and he brought an 83 millimeter hole saw that's going to fit right here perfectly. So we're going to drill a hole through here. Before we do that though, we got to take off the undercoating. So now we're going to go back under the car. Okay, so the shifter bracket is going to go about this area. So there's not an official measurement. So this bracket right here, the edge of it, we're going to go like 8 to 10 millimeters away or so. And then there's the ear on the bracket has got a contour down, which is going to match the contour of the body. Now, before we do all of that, right now we're just kind of test fitting it. But before we actually set it in place, we're going to take a grinding wheel. We're going to grind away all the undercoating. So, and then just for extra measure, we're going to drill 3 holes, rivet it, and then seal it, and then we should be good to go.
So the factory way, what they usually do is they spot weld it around those 3 spots, as well as the 2 ears on the side of the transmission tunnel. But I've seen so many people that have done SMG conversions with the spot welds just break off, because most people are too scared to like really go at it. And when you go at it, there's carpet on both sides. There's just so many more extra risks that there's no need to take, and we can just rivet and epoxy.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's a good welder, they can do it, but
yeah,
I'm not a good welder.
I'm not a good welder either.
We're not doing that. Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's grind this stuff off.
Let's get to grinding, Jamie.
All right, when you guys do this job, the undercoating is so thick that you need a professional tool. So if you think you're going to do it with a wire brush, it's not going to happen. Jason was telling me the first time he did it, he tried a wire brush. I honestly probably would have tried the same thing. Just not going to happen. You need something like this, or even a wire brush like this, because you're going to be grinding for a while. This is some tough stuff. We're going to rivet the bracket into place. This is your typical riveter that you would see. We're going to use a pneumatic riveter. So when you guys see this, just so you know, this is what you might normally use. Cool.
So the thing with this is you don't have to be exact, because there's so much room for error wherever the bushing goes. So as long as you're close enough, it's going to be fine. And judging by how this one looks from factory, like, you know, a lot of people have that argument, oh, it's not going to look like it's factory. That doesn't look like it's factory, but it is.
Yeah, it looks pretty sloppy, but they covered up really nice though.
Yeah. So the floor's not completely straight, and the bracket has to sit as flush as we can get it to sit before we put those holes for the rivets. Otherwise, the rivet holes are going to be off, and then when we try to go put it back on, nothing's going to line up. So we only want to drill once, so we're going to try to figure it out. We'll rivet one, the one that I just marked.
Yep, and then drill the other.
Drill the other one, so it's perfect.
The size of this hole saw is 3¼ inches, which comes out to about 83 millimeter, and that is perfect for this hole because it has to be perfectly centered. Okay, so we're applying the panel bond to any of the exposed metal surfaces, and we've got a little tape up here just to try to make it less messy. And then we'll put the bracket up there. We already got one hole drilled. We'll put a rivet in it to hold it in place, and then while it's being held in place, we're going to go ahead and drill our other holes, basically 2 more holes. Put those rivets in it. We'll let it dry, and we'll come back tomorrow, and it should be good to go. All we got to do is pull off the SMG stuff. So these lines, there's a bracket to hold the lines, the slave cylinder.
This whole shifting mechanism.
Yep, the whole back half. And then once we get all that off, the next step is the bell
Front
housing. Yeah. Which is the bell housing we already got from the kit, so it'll just be a pretty quick kit. Now there's a lot of rust from these dowel pins and these, so we went ahead and sprayed it down with some rust penetrant. Hopefully that helps us.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Virginia car problems.
Virginia car problems. No way. Here, go ahead and take it from that side.
I'll whack this side.
Go ahead.
Oh, you heard it?
I heard it. I heard the pin fall.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one.
Oh, oh, oh,
Oh, there they go.
oh. Oh, they're all going. Somebody watch them?
I got them. All right, so I got all the washers and the pins. So as you guys know, as we separated it, the pins and washers fell out. If you guys are doing this yourself and you drop stuff on the floor and you're not sure you have everything, there's 4 bearings or 4 washers and 2 pins, just so you know.
Yeah, and we'll show you guys how they go back together later on.
All right, so what are the differences between the modified, manual, converted bell housing versus the original SMG?
So the main difference is there's a spring that's added as well as some detents. And those are all just so the shifter has something to do, otherwise you would just not know where anything's going.
Right, yeah, otherwise it's flopping around and, you know,
And
nobody
likes a floppy shifter.
Nobody likes a sloppy shifter. So the detents are there, so you can feel the gate. So if you go into 5th or reverse, you can actually feel it go into gear. Otherwise, you're just kind of guessing, and
nobody wants to guess.
No, you don't want to guess when you're selecting your gear.
Exactly.
One thing I really like about this kit, though, the way he machines it, is these 2 detents are threaded. They're machined and threaded, and then these plugs are just like differential seal plugs. If you guys ever taken those apart, they got the green seals in there, and they're easily serviceable, which is really nice.
So I mean, you might see that there's 2 holes still in this bell housing, the SMG bell housing, but they're just blocked off. There's nothing through, and that's where all the detents and everything goes.
Right, and when you guys get your kit, if you're going to use him, which I recommend you do, there is a core charge, and that core charge is so he can take this and basically make another one of these. So when you do your kit, you're going to return this one back to him. Otherwise, it's going to cost you $650 to keep it.
Yeah. Well, I think there's only one thing left to do.
Get it back together.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. Do I have torque face?
I was just about to say something.
Joey makes fun of me because my face gets like super concentrated when I'm torquing bolts and stuff. So I'm just like, he calls it torque face. Yeah, I think I was doing it again. Now I'm conscious of it. Yeah, don't let that fall into the transmission. The trick to keeping these in place.
Some grease or Vaseline. I mean, the chances of it going into the case are pretty slim, but
So
some people just have bad luck.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out which side this goes. Yeah, there you go.
Getting stuck on.
I don't know.
Is that one?
Dowel?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the dowel pins now, so. I was thinking that. There we go.
It's a manual.
I now pronounce you bell housing and manual.
Maybe we should just give it a couple
You may
taps.
now shift the gearbox. Like that? Should be good?
Yeah, that's more than want to go down hand tight all of them?
Yeah, I'm just
Let's
gonna.
just do one person do it so it's all the same tightness.
Yep, I'll just do. I'm gonna snug it with the wrench, and then maybe we go back later after it's dried.
It'll be good and tight.
Good and tight. All right, this is it's kind of delicate, so I put a little bit of silicone spray on the seal, and then I'm lightly tapping around the edges to try to evenly sink it into a place. Right. So technically we could have put the seal on before we put the bell housing on, but if you do that, when we install the bell housing, it could possibly tear the seal with the shaft. So it's always a good idea to put the seal on after the bell housing has been put on. Okay. All right, this is the throwout bearing guide tube or slide tube. So we're gonna put that in right here. It's just these 4 bolts. Pivot pin, it's going to go back in. And we're just going to give it a little tap. Okay, spring, and this little guy. Like that, and then we need a throwout bearing, which I got new with the clutch kit. You want a little bit of grease, but not a lot on the inside here, and a little bit where it makes contact. So just here and here. You don't want too much because it'll start attracting dirt and dust and clutch material. All right guys, it is tomorrow and the sealant has cured, so now we're going to put in our sensors and we'll work on getting the rest of it put back together. This just takes a 22mm socket. Oh, it's important to put a new aluminum crush ring on there. And you can reuse the old seal, but if it's flattened out, I'd recommend getting a new O-ring as well. The kit comes with this selector rod joint, and a lot of times this little hardened foam piece will just disintegrate. In fact, we took the old one out, it was not even there. So a lot of times when you get the new one, the pin that fits in here doesn't quite fit, so it's a good idea to ream it out a little bit or just clean up that hole with a 15/64 drill bit. And then, but before you do that, you want to pull this ring back and pull the little foam piece out. We went ahead and did that. We're going to pop that foam piece back in. We're going to leave the snap ring off. We're going to line it up with this, push it in, install the pin. Sometimes they can be a little tricky and fight you a little bit. Just like that. So sometimes you'll just need to get a little punch, give it a little tap. Oh, too much. Too much, of course. That went in way easier than I expected. Okay, as long as the snap ring can fit over it, then you are good to go. Like that.
So now we're at the table. This is going to be a lot easier to show everything for the camera right here. So we're going to put this shifter arm together. This is what the gear stick and everything is going to be attached to. And this attaches to the transmission, and then you're ready to start shifting. All right, Jamie, you want to start showing them? Let's put it together.
Put it together. So
right.
I'm going to use some True Glide. It's just a synthetic assembly grease. You guys could use any kind of grease really for that. And then for this ball joint, usually lithium grease works really well, or this will work.
So this bushing right here, it just presses in. You can even use, if you have really strong fingers, you might be able to just push it in.
But I have weak fingers.
We have a vise, so might as well just use that. Clamp it in, pushes right in. It has 2 ridges on each side, so it's not like you can push it too far or anything. It'll just snap around it.
Not bad. Okay.
There we go.
Got it in. So as long as the ridge is on both sides, then we're ready to go.
Yep.
Cool.
Next
so
up,
done.
shifter.
Yep. So we're going to put the receiving end. We're going to lubricate this again with the same grease.
Lube it, put it in.
There.
You gotta hear the click.
Okay.
So 2 tabs just need to slide into the slits and you'll hear it click in, and then we're straight. Oh, there's one.
All right.
There we go.
There we go. Clickety click. Nice.
Now it's
Now. I think it's backwards. No, like this.
Yeah, that's one thing I've done this so many times, even on other cars. I always forget which way this has to be. So it's like you put it in the car and then you're like twisting it around. Oh wait, yeah, because otherwise the knob is going to be 180 degrees the wrong way.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Exactly.
And BMW, if you're watching, Jesus, please, will you take these stickers off of like now I got to clean all this off. It's just ridiculous.
Yep.
BMW. Okay, when the transmission's on the bench, we're going to install the selector rod. Now, the shift rod we were only going to install for demonstration purposes. Otherwise, it would just go in the car and then we'll assemble it once it's in there. But just to show you guys what it looks like outside the car, we're going to do that. Now, the selector rod has got a bend to it, and it's going to be installed from the driver's side of the transmission. So a lot of times the orientation can be a little confusing. We're just going to put a little bit of lube here.
Never enough lube.
Never can have enough lube. We're going to shove it in right there.
Kind of tight.
A little tight. Okay, and then it's held in with these little lock clips on the other side. So we're going to go ahead and put this in now because this is the install.
Yeah.
All right, and then you can show them what it looks like.
So now this is the shifter arm. This goes in this hole right here. So there used to be something else there for the SMG that we removed. And then you have this pin. The pin goes through here. And sometimes it's really, really tight on this side right here. So you might have to ream it out just like we did with the selector rod. And you just slide it in, and then you push this down and it snaps in place. We're not gonna push it down because sometimes this tab will break off. So we're just doing this for demonstration purposes.
We will click it in place once it's in the car.
Exactly.
Just right now, we're not going to.
Yep.
And then once it's in the car, we can move the shifter around,
Yep.
and then we can put that in. We'll put our lock shift in, and
Yep.
we'll be good to go.
And the next clip. And then we also have this bushing that goes on the carrier that we epoxied and riveted in yesterday. This has to go in before you want it snapped in, and then it slides onto the shifter arm, or the shifter arm slides into it.
Right. Yep. Perfect.
Just like that.
Looks good. Cool.
Now the transmission's ready to go back in.
So hopefully that's a little bit more clear for you guys.
Yeah.
All right, what we're doing now is we're cutting the hole out. You can see where the factory had a, they know that some cars are gonna be manual, so they just go ahead and make them all like this. So it makes it nice and easy. Cut that little circle out. There's a grommet behind there. We're gonna pluck that out, and that's where our clutch line is gonna come through. All right, the metal clutch line is gonna go right through this hole, and underneath of that hole, or on the other side of that hole, is the back of the carpet, and it's got a molded section for this line that fits perfectly in there. So now we'll just go and pull the carpet back and pull it through. All right, we've taken the car, we've pushed it off the lift so I can get the door open, because I'm gonna be working under here. We've got the under panel down, we'll pull the carpet back and grab that line. Okay, so here's the brake pedal. The clutch pedal would go here. You can see this notch out on the carpet. We're gonna take this plug out, pull the carpet back. We're gonna look for that clutch line that we pushed in. Right there it is. Let's see if we can get a better view here. All right, so this clutch line is gonna stick up like this. While we're under here, let's go ahead and pull this back. There's a grommet right there. We're gonna push it out. Just pushed it out into the engine bay. See my finger there? That's where the clutch line's gonna come in from the reservoir. Okay, I'm gonna remove the bracket for the brake pedal sensor.
And while he's doing that, I'm gonna get the pedal ready. So Jamie went ahead and put the clutch pedal pad on already. So we're just gonna put these anti-squeak bushings. That way everything's ready for him to just install the pedal. Now, one thing I like to do is just grease the inside and outside of these bushings. That way it just doesn't squeak over time. Jamie, you ready?
I'm ready. All right, thank you. Something else we're gonna have to do, so I'll go ahead and do that right now, is unplug the EWS. We're going to be adding a pin to that a little bit later.
I'm gonna put this hose on the clutch master before we put the clutch master in the car. It's just easier because it's a very tight fit, and that's why you don't really have to put any hose clamps or anything on here. It's just really tight fit. And to help ease putting it on, we're gonna put some lube on it. So you can see right here where it's bulging out. You wanna make sure that the hose goes past the bulge. That way it's really nice and secure. All right, Jamie, you ready?
Yes.
It's bulging.
You gave me a bulging hose. Thanks. Good job, Jason. So I'm going to feed this through so Jason can grab it from the other side.
We're gonna put the camera there.
Okay, we're going to put the pin, this white pin, which is going to hold the pedal to the master cylinder. So we're going to slide this round end right into here. And it's got a flat side to the white pin, which is going to face out kind of towards the dash. Okay, so that's in. Now the pedal is attached to the master cylinder. Now we're going to put in the bolts for the master cylinder, which came in the kit right here. All right, then we'll tighten this down. Then we'll have both of our bolts in for our master cylinder. Okay, so I just thought I was recording this whole thing. I didn't actually press record, which is a bummer because I had some pretty good tips for you guys. But basically the clutch return spring is right here. There's a, it comes with the kit along with these two black grommets. One gets put in right here. The other one goes up here on this bracket. And I'll tell you, they're a little tight going in. So what I do is I get a little corner started, and then once I get it started and kind of held in place, I just finish it off with some pliers, just kind of squeeze it in there. I literally did this with the camera in my way so I could show you guys, and I forgot to hit record. All right, this is the wire for the DME. I'm going to feed it up through here. There's already a hole that goes into the DME box. Jason's on the other side grabbing that for me with a needle nose. Tell me when you get it. There you go, he's got it. Yep. All right, pulling that through. And this pin will go to the EWS, which is right up here. Right, earlier I told you guys we unplugged it. This right here will get plugged into our clutch position switch, which we still need to install on the side of the master switch. And this is going to go to our brake switch. All right, here's the clutch master switch. Here's the sensor. So we're just gonna slide it in right there and snap it into place, just like that. And then that's what our other end of the connector right here is gonna get plugged into. So let's go ahead and do that while we're here. With this connector, we're going to, now that we've got it unplugged, there's a little pin right there, the tab. We're going to release the tab, slide the housing off so we can access the connectors. Okay, now we're looking for pin 8. All right, so it's the last pin on this side. You can see that they're numbered. So 1 is on here and 8 is on the very end. Like that. Plug this back in like that. Click, bada bing, bada boom, done. You're gonna see how I routed the wiring. So here it goes into the master cylinder, and then you got the wire that goes up to the EWS. I zip tied the wire from the EWS back to the harness just to kind of pull this wire over. I also zip tied these to the main loom. I gotta trim that one off. And the main thing is you just want to make sure it doesn't get in the way of the clutch pedal. So if I do this, you can see nothing is in the way. Nice move, nice and easy movement. And there's also a panel that goes under here too, so that'll help, you know, keep things clean.
So here's the wire that Jamie fed up. Now this is going to go to the 24-pin DME connector, which is X60002. That's not really going to matter to you guys. I'm just going to show you exactly which one it is and how to plug it in. So first we need to remove all these connectors off of the DME until we get to this second to last DME connector. Now this is the 24-pin connector, and we're going to be putting this wire on pin number 20. So first you have to disconnect the connector, and then we're going to disassemble the connector. So So we're gonna pull out the black connector. There's a gray one and a black one. And this is the last 12 pins right here. And we're gonna attach it to pin 20. So you get the wire, and you're really just gonna push it in until it clicks in place. And there shouldn't be anything on pin 20. And it might be a little difficult to clip it in, but you should hear an audible click, and you can use a pick to help you. And to double check, just tug on it a little bit. And with that done, you just slide it back in the connector and re-plug everything back in.
All right, so we're gonna show you guys how to put the condom onto the shift rod. So you guys should be learning this in health class, but basically this rubber piece fits onto here. This would be the front of the car. The rubber has an arrow right here, which faces towards the front of the car. This little ring is basically an installation tool. So
I'm just here for the lube.
just lube me up. Lube me up, Buttercup. All right, shove that in there. This goes in here. Oh yeah, sexy time. And then down here at the bottom, this little flap fits over this, is it flap or whatever? Yeah, this little rubber piece fits over here.
Over the base.
The base. Okay. And you just kind of pull on those ears to kind of assist. I almost whacked myself in the face. Did you see that? There we go.
Should be nice and tight.
Tight like a tiger. There we go. Good. And then when we go to put it in the car, we'll pull this ring up, and what it does is it gets this flap up and over the ring that we cut out in the floor. All right, the shift rod bushing going in, there's 2 arrows imprinted in the rubber. There's one on the top, and that faces towards the front of the car, and then there's one on the back, and that faces up. So as long as those orientations are correct, now you know how to install it, and it's got 2 slots on the side. I'm gonna feed one slot in here in the bracket. This is the bracket that we molded to the car, the shift bracket. And then with a little bit of force.
Put your back into it.
Ah, there we go. Yes, put it back into it. All right, that is in there. So now it's time for the shifter assembly.
First you gotta lube it.
Little lube, thank you. And then we're gonna feed that up in there along with the white ring and this.
Slide that back.
Come on, there we go. There we go, like that. And then we can, from the top, we can pull that ring and seat it in place. All right, so it's time to install the clutch line. It's gonna go and snap right into here, and you'll hear it click in like that. I did spray a little bit of silicone on the seal for lubrication. And then I just kind of got this mocked up right now. When the slave cylinder goes in, don't make the mistake I made one time early in my career and put this upside down. So the bleeder screw is towards the top. I went ahead and released the bleeder screw just to make it easier. This little thing right here, which they include in the kit, looks kind of like a question mark. The short side goes into the slave cylinder, and then the other side fits right into your line. Right now we're just kind of keeping it loose just to get it mocked up. Everything looks good right there, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten these down, and then we'll pull the slave cylinder back out to bleed it. I got this homemade device. Basically all I did was press the piston in. With the piston pressed in, there's less chance for air to get trapped in here. So now I'm going to hold this up so the air can escape, and I'm going to ask Jason to hit the pedal. Let me get this up here like that. We want all the air to come up here. All right, Jason, go ahead and pump the pedal.
Bleeder's open?
It's open.
All right, going.
Okay, let off.
Okay.
Pump.
Okay.
All right, let off.
Okay.
And then one more time, pump. Okay, good. Let off.
Closed?
Yeah, let off, and then I'm gonna put the slave cylinder back in.
Okay. Fluid already started coming out that fast?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I gravity bled some of it already ahead of time.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, up.
Up.
All right, give me some pedal.
Jamie,
Yeah.
you said pedal?
Yeah. What did you do?
You wanted the pedal?
Did you break my clutch pedal? All right, it's time to trim out the lower panel. So this is where the pedals go, and you can see the orientation. That's kind of a different color of black on this plastic. We're gonna cut it out using a Dremel. I'm just gonna tape it out, cut it out, and this is where the clutch pedal is gonna go. Just like from the factory, it's perfect, like you never even knew. Okay, in the AMS kit, they provide you with this wire right here with this tap. What this is for is any car that's 2003 or newer, mine's a 2005, so I'm gonna need to do this. This plugs into the DME box, and then this plugs into the back of the instrument cluster. What it does is when you put the car in reverse, it tells the car it's in reverse, so if you have rear parking sensors like mine does, it'll allow that to work, and also the passenger mirror will tilt down. That all needs to see the reverse signal, and that's what we're gonna install right now. Okay, so once we get the white connector out, so the instrument cluster has a black connector and a white connector. We want the white connector. We're going to pull the housing off. We're going to find pin 7. So that is pin 1. We'll count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right there. And we are going to wire this in to pin 7. 5, 6, 7. And you already knew I was going to need the pick. Thank you. Okay, give it a little tug. It's tight, we're good. So now we can put the connector housing back on. All right, so then we're gonna fish this wire through the back of the instrument cluster, down the back of the dash, and up through the E-box. There it is. I don't know if you can see it drop out the bottom here. Right down there. Pull that the rest of the way through. We'll put our instrument cluster back in first. And then I'll fish that up to Jason so he can tap it in up there.
All right, so this connector right here with this blue wire with the yellow stripe, that blue wire with the yellow stripe is a reverse signal, and we're tapping into that. This is the wire that Jamie sent up, and this is the tap that we're gonna use. I'm gonna tap the blue, yellow wire, and then this plugs into that.
All right, Jason.
Final touches?
Moment of truth. All right, let's get this on. Oh my God, this is so exciting.
This is the most exciting thing in the last 2 days.
All right, get this on here. Get that, just give it a final.
Just like that.
Just like that, we got 3 pedals, we got shifting.
And you got 2 extra paddles.
Well, yeah, we'll work on that later. We'll get rid of those. But
Now you just need to learn how to drive manual.
yeah, can you teach me how to drive?
Yeah,
man?
so go follow Shop Life TV, has DIY. I'm just kidding.
Shop Life TV got all the DIYs. Okay,
Oh, man.
cool. Well, we're gonna have to start. Let's make sure it starts and runs. Let's try that. Okay, clutch in.
Oh, I did the coding. Let's see. Oh,
Nice. No error codes. Of course, you got the. You got to do that.
oh, you gotta make sure it's in neutral.
Oh man,
How's it feel?
feels good. I got the detent for reverse. I can
Yeah.
feel that. Oh,
Oh,
mirror
the
tilts
mirror.
down. All right, very
Yeah.
good. All right. Well, Jason, I think you did a really good job here.
Thank you, thank you.
And actually, what you didn't know is you've been here helping me, which I really
Yeah.
appreciate. But you actually are here for a job interview, and I think you are elite worthy.
Elite worthy?
Elite worthy of coming to work for me. What do you think?
Does that mean I get to work on all my project cars?
Yeah,
in the shop?
Saturdays and Sundays, you can do whatever you
I
want.
only have to work on Saturdays and Sundays? I'm down.
On your cars? Sure, you can work on your car Saturdays and Sundays.
Oh, I don't know, Jamie. I don't know if I could work with you.
I'm a hard person to work for.
Oh, man.
All right, let's go for a drive.
Let's go.
All right, I've got a really important tip for you guys. So we finished the swap about 3 weeks ago. I've been driving it and I've got about 400 or 500 miles on it, a lot of stop and go traffic. I've been driving it nice and easy because it's really important that you bed in the clutch with the new flywheel. so you don't get any hot spots or anything like that. And I'll tell you, it has really taken the bedding well, and it is feeling so good now. This car is amazing to drive. I mean, it was great before with the SMG, but it is phenomenal now with this manual transmission. I love it. Thank you, Jason, for helping me out. Thank you, AMS, for sending me the kit. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.